Leaders look for this opportunity to find someone who's ready to run, who has a team. The fact that it doesn't really matter where they are, but if it's a new location, new country, sometimes it's a new street or a new city or a new state, right? At least when we started. And now we're getting excited about the new countries and the new expansion and the talent that's being attracted here. Truly professional talent, far beyond my own professionalism. If you guys get to know me, you'll probably laugh a little bit when I joke around about not being able to read and write very well, and people laugh, oh, that's funny. And then I say, no, really, it's tough for me. And after they get to know me, they're like, you're right, huh? That's hard for you. And I laugh and I say, those aren't requirements to be successful, luckily. So we don't have to check certain boxes. We just have to have a willing heart, the ability to work hard, to be teachable and willing to grow. And so I told Kai, if you can put a group of people on a call, I would love to circle around some of the top leaders in a brand new country that's getting launched and help them launch with some of the right things in mind. So expectations wise on this call, I'll just tell you, I'm still learning all the ins and outs of the Filipino specifics, the Philippine specifics. When we look at opening, Kai's great in helping me understand whatever difference there are, because sometimes certain promotions aren't the exact same per country, and I understand that. Even products available or a compensation plan of specific awards or promos, there's slight differences. So one thing that I'm going to slowly do is learn those differences and be able to help you with more specifics. But until then, specifics will be under Kai and the directions of you other leaders on this call. I hope to give you a bird's eye view of what is available, how to build properly so that every effort that you do ends up building the proper, when I say depth, I don't mean it as a specific program, but I mean it as a specific mindset and behavior, because I believe depth in this industry is what gets us through. First of all, it might be depth of character, right? It might be the depth of maybe knowledge even, or the depth of our heart. But if we truly look at the structure of depth within our organizations, if we build the right leader back by leader back by leader, we build the right behaviors. I call it the phases of business, because I don't think anyone learns this business all at once. We learn a piece at a time, a phase at a time. And I think if we do that correctly, we will end up with a business that Kai talked about that is here to stay. Okay. What if you built, and I'm going to use my personal example, heard about a company, you got excited, you put your heart and soul into it, and you end up with groups and teams and elite backed by elites. When I think of Kai on my team, I didn't enroll Kai, but I was able to, with Kai and Greg, I was able to find them in excitement through one of my personals, right? Chris Michaels. We have people that have started and were excited, who led to someone. And we're just going to teach you to follow that depth, that energy, that excitement, and find those that are excited and ready. And then giving those people an hour of your time, or 2 hours, or a lot more time than that, ends up being, to me, the most valuable piece. And so I'm going to leave this chat open here. So if you guys, I really wish this was going to be more interactive, and I hope it is. I don't want you to just sit there. First of all, I'm going to ask, and I know not all of you are in a place to turn your cameras on, but if you would, I would much rather do this in face-to-face and shake hands and give hugs and do it our normal way. But if you can, please undo your camera if it's appropriate. If you're not in a good place, I understand. But we would love to communicate. I don't even really mind if we need to unmute and ask a question. If you, maybe Kai, if you can watch the chat, if certain things come up.
Greg and I will do, thank you.
Yeah, just say, hey, there's a question. And I want this to be interactive, because I don't honestly, I have things I want to share, excuse me, but I don't have a presentation to give to you. I want to to discuss with you things that will help you build the right behaviors, the right mindset, and ultimately a strong, lasting business, because you guys are starting right now. And if you get started on the right foot with the right behaviors, I believe you can have a long-term business to show for it, right? We are in that position. What if, like I said, what if you go out and find the right people and they lead to new countries and new places that are opening? And I think now we, in our team, because of when we started and what we're doing, we have people in every country that we're open in. Someone, people, organizations, groups, leaders, some are just few customers, but to have an international business, that's here to stay. That's exciting to me, to have millions of dollars every month roll through our business, whether I'm at home or traveling or whatever. I mean, it's kind of the dream that we're trying to teach. And I'm not afraid to tell people that dream is available. I'm not afraid to tell them that there's even a sense of retirement if you want it. There's even a sense of saying, hey, I just accomplished my financial dreams and I'm going to go enjoy that. I'm going to take my spouse. We're going to travel. We're going to go do stuff. And, we don't like to hear the concept of retirement or management mode. And we kind of, in this industry, people kind of laugh at it, because if you're not a pro 10 putting in 80 hours a week and sponsoring 10 people every month, then why should we follow you? And I'd say, well, I follow people because they had the lifestyle I wanted and the position I wanted. So if I could lock arms with a mentor that did what I'm willing to do and ended up in a place of security where I wanted to be, that gave me hope, because the fire department that I was on didn't give me that path. It gave me a 30-year career. And at the end of 30 years, we were able to take home 50% of what we were making in our highest 3 years. So half of your annual salary was your reward. And it was hard enough to live off the full salary. And now I was going to try to live off half. And after 30 years of risking my life, I was just looking for something better. And we all have a part of that story within us. So this, to me, right, if we tee up the whole idea, is to design and build something that's long-term, that we can trust, that we can put all our eggs in that basket if we want to, and work hard and build something that we can hold on to. And I'm going to say forever, in the sense that as long as products are being purchased, our children and grandchildren can enjoy what we're building. Okay, so that's the dream, that's the hope, and I'm here because we, in some degree, have accomplished a part of that. We're definitely not sitting on a beach only, and we're not, turning our phones off. You guys can get a hold of me almost anytime. Kai calls me all the time. We chat, we talk, we run ideas past each other, and we try to be available, because I don't feel like we've arrived in that sense, but I can tell you it is amazing to have enough, to have, you guys have seen the income statement forms where the executives are, and the pro 10s and the pro 9s, and where Kai's at, to have the ability to make choices in life. When my girls were both in a car accident and paralyzed, and my wife lost her leg in the same accident, I didn't have to be anywhere, right? That's the dream. I don't have to ask a boss if I can take a day off. I don't have to tell them to defer the payments till later because I can't afford it. We were able to deal with life, deal with my children in pain, be with them when they needed us at 2 a.m. when they had a question about their injuries, or what about this, or what about that. They didn't have to do anything but just call our name, and we were right next to them. We were down the hall, right? There's amazing vision in the company. So I wanted to start with that just as a concept. Don't be afraid to go to work and build something that will be long lasting. And for me, so far, it's 13 full years, right? Can you imagine making that pro 10 type income for 10 plus years? It doesn't take very long to have things paid off and your family set up and money in the right places, and a very comfortable, secure place. And the fun part is it allows you to do what you want. And for one of the things I want is to help you guys, right? I was even looking at flights today, honestly, and looking at the Philippines and where we need to be and where we need to go, because we follow excitement, and having this many people excited warrants our our help, whatever we can give. We're not perfect at this, but we can give a lot of support and help and give you some direction. Okay. So we're hoping to, we're hoping to just give you that vision. Now, we were asked today to cover some principles, and I'm going to call these depth principles, right? Because we build in depth, we build far down into our organization so that we have security. There's some powerful concepts in having relationships and having volume and having connections with people way down in your organization. Okay. In other words, if Kai has a question, she can call me. We're close. We don't have to, necessarily have Chris on the phone in order to do that. We worked in depth. We worked down, and eventually I'll get to know a few of you, and some of you will connect with Greg. Some of you connect with Kai. Some of you will connect with me, and we'll build relationships, and we'll have the ability to help your teams very, very closely. Until then, this is the best we can do. We get on a Zoom and we work hard. I will tell you in the future, we're going to probably have Pro 5 calls that I will be more entitled to host. And we might only have 5 or 10 people on those calls where we can discuss very specific things. We could open up the call. We can talk about our teams and our groups. And Kai might take some of these Pro 3 calls and continue to train. So I want you to work hard, because we're going to watch the leadership grow. We're going to give you all the same platform and chance. And then we sit back and we get to watch the excitement. And as you guys grow through the ranks, it automatically gets our attention as to where we want to build, where we want to support and help. And I have found that if I spend an hour with the right 10 people, that hour isn't only an hour. That hour is actually tens of thousands of replicated hours spent in other countries, in other states, in other places, all in supporting and building our businesses. Okay. So that is what I'm here for, is to give you some training tonight, give you some guidelines, and then also have you guys identify yourselves by working hard and, hitting rank. And it's almost, instead of raising your hand saying, I want to do it, we watch people grow, and we see the ones that are putting their efforts where their ideas are, where their mouth is, where their raise their hands is, right? We watch the actions, not just the words. Right? You've ever heard that phrase that actions speak louder than words, right? Words are loud, but we see action. And so one of the reasons you guys are on the call here tonight is because you've already shown some of that action. So we're excited. Do you guys have pencil and paper and something to write on? I see most of you. Let's talk about 4 phases of business real quick. Okay. I'm going to suggest that you take a page for each phase. Okay. Because we're going to go back and forth through these phases. And hopefully by the time we're done, number 1, you'll know where you are, what phase you're in, what skill sets you're learning in that phase. And more importantly, what is required to get to the next phase. Because everything I do is about progression. I used to call this progression training. How to progress personally, how to progress your business, progress in rank, progress in income, progress in security, progress in leadership. It's all about progression. If we are progressing, then we're going the right direction, right? Sometimes we say, I'm good, I have enough, and we start to hold still. And actually, if you're holding still, you're probably actually going backwards a little bit, because it takes progression to maintain the movement and the excitement and the momentum that our groups have. So number 1, first page. Okay. First of all, let's do this. I have the chat open here. Can you guys put your rank, just real quick, just type your rank into the chat. I want to see how many Pro 5s we have, some Pro 3s. Jennifer, Pro 4, awesome. Odell, Pro 5, awesome. I'm just scrolling up here. Roy, 3. Beth, 5, awesome. Don't have a rank yet. I love it. Congratulations. I think that's awesome. Pro 2s, Pro 4s, Pro 3s. Okay. So you'll find out in a minute why those are important to me, because it doesn't do anything really but tell me where you are. I'm more after the direction you're heading in, right? Because I think a pro 10 is just a Pro 1 that's that doesn't quit. A Pro 10 is simply a new person that has direction. They're moving that way. I don't know how long it takes. Some people can do it quickly. Some take a long time. But another Pro 5, awesome. So we have more Pro 5s than I thought. Oh, that came from the same person. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you guys. And I hope in the future we have some more time to do this more intimately and to talk about it and open the lines and do that. But for tonight, I'm simply going to give you some notes on 4 phases. Number 1, I'm going to call this phase the invite and enrollment phase. Okay? Invite and enrollment phase. I'm also going to tell you something that may or may not be understood yet, but I believe that doing these behaviors can get you to be a good distributor, a Pro 1, a Pro 2, or even a Pro 3. These behaviors seem to be consistent. When they're consistently done, I see people hitting those ranks. So most of you, to get on this call, got to the level of Pro 3. So I would suggest you've already done some of the behaviors in phase 1. Okay, does that make sense? Because the rank seems to follow the skill set and the behaviors. I also know that people in phase 1 are comfortable at certain things, or hopefully are trying to be comfortable at certain things. We wouldn't ask a Pro 1 to get on this call tonight and take an hour and train all of you guys, right? Not that we have any disrespect or anything. There's just a level of skills and progress and experience that comes from doing the things right and wrong and learning and growing and becoming a leader. And so we have different levels of phases of business or different levels of leadership wrapped around that. So within phase 1, we're going to call it inviting and enrolling. And I'm going to give you a couple things that take place in phase 1. Number 1 is you want to develop a why, a reason, something that gets you out of bed, right? That alone is a 2-hour conversation if we want to teach and train. Tonight, I'm just going to say that phase is developing a why. Some people are good at it. Some people want stuff. Some people want money. Some people want freedom. But whatever it is, something needs to get you out of bed and be a reason for building. Okay. Most of the people, when you really dig down, it has to do with family and time and who you spend it with and the freedoms to choose who that is and when that is. Okay. One of my whys real quick was I saw a plaque one time on a wall that said, a dad's dream is to make enough money to live the kind of life his wife and kids do. And so my job was to try to make enough money to have my wife's life because she was with the kids. And my wife was laughing because we had 6 young kids. The oldest was 7 years old. So some of you can do the math and figure that out. We had a brand newborn and a 7-year-old that was only 7 for 2 months. So about every 15, 14 months, we had a new baby for our first part of our marriage. And that was our life. And so my wife had one baby on her hip and one in her other hip, one in the stroller, 2 in diapers. And I'm telling people, I want the life my wife has. And she's laughing, saying, okay, come home and, help me. You can have this life. It will be perfect. But I saw her at the ball games. I saw her with the children. And I was like, man, I wish I could make enough money to be there with them. And most of the plans we have in our lives allow us to work 40 to 50 years of our life and maybe spend some of that kind of quality time with our grandkids. But our kids usually are already grown up by then because it takes a while to develop that. So this has been the only industry I've found so far that allowed me to speed the process and to spend that kind of time with my own children and not just my grandchildren in the future. So it's been a life-changing event. I actually retired from the fire department when my little boy was 1 year old and my oldest was only 8 years old. So my kids, in some cases, have never known me to have a job in a business. So it's been fun to raise them. And I tell people if they're wonderful kids, I'm going to take the credit. If they're rotten kids, it's probably my fault because I spend a lot of time being part of their lives. And it's one of my favorite things. And it is my reason for doing this. So think about that. That is my why, and it has changed because we have now accomplished that why. I have enough money to raise and be with my kids. So what is my new why? Number one, it spans, it grows, it changes, it evolves, and then hopefully it expands and includes more and more people. The reason I'm on this call today is not because I'm trying to make enough money to hang out with my kids. Now it's because I see faces and families and friends and loved ones and true business partners like Kai and Greg who have dreams and goals for you guys as well. So our reasons change, our whys evolve, but it's part of phase one. We have to learn to not only develop one ourselves, but teach others how to find and develop their reason and why. Okay. So that's a lot in a little bit of time, but the why we could spend it forever on. Next thing is you need to introduce yourself. Okay. And know who your team is. We call them phone calls or introduction calls. Once you know why you're doing this, we have you call and share those reasons with a few people. What does that do when you share it with the person that sponsored you? Maybe the person that sponsored them, maybe the person that sponsored them. You might share your story about your why 3 or 4 times in the first couple of days of your business. And if you haven't yet, if you don't know who those people are, I would make that one of your goals very quickly is to find why you're doing this and to share that with at least 3 people in your support team. Okay. Crossline, okay, maybe, but your crossline people sometimes don't have the complete focus because their team might completely be taking all their time. And it's hard to give people outside their team more time. That's just the reality of how we do this. It's hard to take time away from our families if it's not necessarily supporting that effort. So people do, we all do, but in reality, I don't ever ask that from somebody. So introduce yourself to those people. Then we have the concept of doing a database, right? A list of potential business partners, loved ones, friends. We tell people, go find the 10 people you love the most and bring them back to the next meeting because that's who we want to talk to, okay? So all phase one, this is all part of inviting and enrolling. It's all the things that take place to get their names, to get them the information and do the next thing I'm going to put is after that, we're going to invite them. The invite is part of this phase. It's the invite enrollment phase. Learn to invite. Okay. I will say the next part of it is a presentation, but I want you to circle presentation because presentation isn't really part of this phase. And I'm going to explain why in a minute. It might be a little confusing, but I'll show you. So you have your why, you've contacted your people, they know your dreams, you know them, you know their phone numbers, you know their schedules. And then you have friends who are working with you now, mentors. That's one of the reasons I'm on the phone is because I have people that have reached out to me to help mentor them. And that's why I'm on this call. So I'm part of that phone call list. And then you have your database, and then you have an invite. Again, each of these are huge subjects, training topics. Kai will be covering these with you. I know Greg's been doing a great job with some of the training. So listen to their advice in these areas, but these are the things you'll train on. The presentation I'm going to suggest is part of the next phase. Okay. And I'll show you where. After the presentation, what do? We follow up. Okay. We make sure that we have a time to follow up, answer their questions. Some people call it resolving concerns. I just think we answer questions, right? Make sure they have all the information, give them homework if they need it. And then the last step after we answer all their questions, they feel comfortable and then they finally enroll. Okay, they sign up. That process might lead to a distributor. It might lead to a customer, in my opinion. We always share everything with them. If they choose to only pick the product, that's up to them. If they choose to only invest, that's up to them. If they choose to only whatever, that's up to them. They can do that. But for me, I became an investor buying the stock and the stuff with an exchange in here. I've also became a very, very strong customer because I use the products every month. And I also am a very strong distributor because I share this with others and I build my team. And so I participated in all 3 of those, but they have the chance to enroll. Okay. And that's the basics of phase one. I believe, let's say that Kai's doing the presentation, and Kai gave me a little bit of her schedule. Okay, so when I'm done here today, she can review that, but there's meetings in the office, right, on Wednesdays and Saturdays. There is Zoom presentations you can bring people to. The reason I didn't put presentation as part of phase one is because usually someone else is doing the presentation for you. It's not a skill that you have to learn in phase one. You have to get them to the information, but it's okay to not have to learn that. And hopefully that takes the stress away for the new person. All they say is, I just got to get their name, bring them to a meeting, help follow up, answer some questions with my support team. They enroll, and I have a distributor or a customer, and I'm building my business. Phase one, that's all we do. I believe those efforts can get you to Pro 3. I've seen people just invite. They bring them to the meeting. They put them on the Zoom. They get them in the room. They don't even know all the information, but they're great at connecting people to the information, right? ITT is part of that. We invite, we give a tool. The tool is what? The presentation. It's someone else talking for you because you don't necessarily have to know that yet. The team is also part of the next phase we'll talk about because they're answering questions for you. They're helping resolve concerns. They're helping you with the follow-up. It's all of the behaviors that they're supporting you with so that you can do a good job doing phase one. Phase one will lead to enrollments. Enrollments will lead to business partners and essentially getting you to the rank of Pro 2, Pro 3, sometimes Pro 4 and 5, but I haven't seen too many 4s and 5s who aren't in the next phase. And we'll talk about that in a minute, okay? Phase two, next page, we'll go back and forth. Phase two is the teaching and presenting phase, okay? Usually if I ask the question, how many people on this call can call up a friend and invite them to get on a Zoom, right? Hopefully all of us can because that's a phase one behavior. If we can't, then we're still in phase one learning how. If I said who in this room could get in front of 10 guests and give them a presentation on all of the things why LifeVantage is important, the compensation plan, the products, and all of those things, usually the hands start to go down a little bit, which is okay because we have people that are brand new and we don't want them to feel like they have to know all that. But phase two is teaching and presenting, okay? Write these 6 things down. Company, timing, the trends, the product, the compensation, and the system. And Kai can throw that in the little chat. Company, timing, trends, product, compensation, system. Those 6 things are a presentation. Those 6 things are taught over and over and over by those in phase two, right? The beauty of that is, let's say someone is in phase two, you're in phase one, you bring them to the event. Let's use Wednesday at the corporate office as an idea. You bring them, guess what they're going to hear when they get there? They're going to hear someone wearing their phase two hat. It might be Kai. One of these days, it might be me standing there on Wednesday doing the presentation, and I'm not going to be doing a training that day. What am I going to be doing? Phase two, company, timing, trends, product, compensation, system. Okay. That's what will be taught. Why? Because we're talking to a guest. We don't have to teach the guest about dynamic compression in the comp plan, or we don't have to train them on how to invite and enroll. And those aren't guest type conversations. The key things for a guest are what? Company, timing, trends, product, compensation, and system. That's what they need to hear. That's what they need to do to make a decision. That is phase one behavior. Also put down on that page a Pro 5. I believe that those that teach all the time consistently, we're going to start to build some other concepts here. I'm going to say 15 presentations a month. We're going to start building these principles and behaviors. Those that can get to that point will very quickly rise to the Pro 4, Pro 5, possibly even the Pro 6 ranks by learning to do a presentation when no one else is available. Okay. If we are good at bringing people to Kai, I'm going to use that as an example. That's awesome. But what if Kai isn't there for a month? What if she's not around to do the presentation? those that step up and do the presentations on their own will have businesses that continue to grow. Exposures will continue to be done, and you can hit the ranks of 4 or 5, maybe even 6. Okay. When I talk to people at Pro 5 Summit, the one I'm going to teach at here, everyone there knows how to invite and they know how to do a presentation. It seems like those are the prerequisites to get to Pro 5. But the next phase, they don't usually have down, and that's why they're stuck at Pro 5 or they're at Pro 5. And so we teach the next phase. The third phase is mentoring and training. Okay. Tonight, right now, I'm wearing a phase 3 hat. If it said on my forehead, phase 3, that's what I'm doing tonight. Okay. When you're talking to distributors, then you are in a phase 3 mentoring phase. Okay. Tonight, I'm doing that. If there were guests on this call and we were talking about 6 principles, then I would be wearing a phase 2 hat tonight. Does that make sense? And if this was an opportunity call that Kai was doing and I brought a guest with me, then I would be in phase 1 tonight, bringing my guest to the event. So once we master a phase, it's not that we master a phase, we check the box and we never do it again. It's not that kind of phase, right? I laugh when people say, "Oh, it's like your kids, right? You have the diaper phase, and once they're out of diapers, you never go back." And I'm like, no. What it means is you own those skills, and you can go enroll whenever you want. You own the ability to do a presentation. Tonight, I can guarantee if I couldn't make it, who could I lean on that's in phase 3? I could say, "Hey, Kai, I can't make it tonight. Can you cover?" Sure, absolutely. I got it, because that's the information she has. She can teach and train. Greg could do the same. Some of you are also probably slightly in that phase as well. And I just don't know you as well to call out names, but the ability to do that. If this was a presentation tonight and there was 5 guests on this call and I couldn't make it, and Kai, couldn't make it, or maybe her computer died. And I bet there's some of you guys who would jump in and say, "Hey, I can cover a presentation. I can do those 6 principles. I got you." And because we have more and more people at the lower phases willing to and able to do that. We need more and more people to move up through the phases to own more of this business and own more of the leadership of this company. That's what we're looking for. That's why we're on this call. I'm going to ask you to put a pro 7 by that mentoring phase. I believe if we learn to mentor correctly, we teach others to do presentations. We mentor others to become presenters. On my team, when I was in that phase, I had 10, 15, sometimes 20, 30 people, sometimes in one night, doing presentations in their city, in their state. Kai was doing one in Texas, and we had Dondi Nettles doing one in Phoenix, and Chris Michaels in Mesa, and we had people all over the country the same night doing presentations. How do you get to an elite? That's how you do it. It isn't you doing 1,000 presentations a month. It is you mentoring and training others so that 1,000 presentations are being done in your organization, but not by you. 10 people that are trained to do 15 presentations a month is how many presentations? That's 150 presentations happening on your team as soon as you train 10 people to do what you're doing. That's the power of the replication, we'll call it, to be compliant. That's the power of depth. That's what we're building, is this concept that the new people are inviting, those pro 3s and 4s are presenting, the 4s and 5s and 6s are mentoring and training. And then we have the fourth phase, which I'm just going to mention tonight, is we call it mentoring the mentors. It's when we get a chance to mentor other leaders, right? Other elites. There's times, if you guys may not know this, but sometimes the Pro 10s are asked to do a training for all of the elites. And I value that time because I don't need to tell those people how to invite. I don't need to train those people how to do a presentation. It's mentoring them. It's a way different conversation talking to leaders. So when I'm talking to a guest I'm in phase 2. When I'm talking to a distributor, I'm in this phase, phase 3. When I'm talking to elites, I'm in phase 4. All right. So I hope that makes sense. We won't spend a lot of time on that. You can put Pro 10 by that one, because eventually it will make more sense when you're a Pro 7, 8, or 9, and you're trying to get to Pro 10. You're going to really want to learn what that means. But I don't want to waste time on that tonight, because that would probably be a conversation for Greg and Kai and a few people that are trying to learn the skills to get from 7, 8, 9 to 10. And it is a mentoring the mentors discussion, and it's very different. So in a nutshell, those are the 4 phases. Now, I'm going to ask some questions so that you can identify what phase you're in. Okay. First question, phase 1. How many leaders have you enrolled? How many leaders have you, I'll say personally enrolled? And when I say leaders, that's not just someone who enrolled and they're taking the product. It's someone who is enrolled, they're engaged, they're excited, they're trying. They haven't succeeded yet, maybe, but they're here, they're present, right? They're involved. Those are the people I'd ask for. If your answer is 1, awesome. That means a part of your business is in phase 2. If you have one person that's engaged in rolling and building, then that means you need to be supporting them with presentations. Okay. Now you're a little bit lucky because Kai is doing and Greg are doing so many presentations that you can usually kind of use them for phase 2 and maybe not have to develop that. One of the things I would suggest to Kai and Greg is to allow other people to do those presentations with them, because when they leave town, it can continue if people are trained and they have mentored others to do those presentations. So we need you guys to be willing to step up to do a little bit of the meeting. What I used to do with my people is I'd have one person do product. I would have somebody do the timing. I would have somebody talk about compensation, and I would always close the meeting to bring it all together and make sure trends or something wasn't missed. But it was valuable when I did that, because pretty soon I could leave town and there was 5 or 6 people who can continue the presentations. It wasn't based on me being there. And when I ended up in the hospital from a car crash with my daughters, found out my daughters were paralyzed and I needed time to be with them, our business didn't stop because we had enough people trained to do those presentations without us being there. It's powerful to think of the mentoring program that should be happening. So one of my suggestions is to make sure that those things are being taught. So question number 1 is, how many have you enrolled? If your answer is 10, 15, 20 leaders, they're excited, then you're probably all in on phase 2 and trying to keep up. Because if you have 10 people wanting presentations every day, right, building and growing and putting people in, then you're going to have enough meetings to cover all your time in phase 2. Okay. It's not that you stop enrolling. I never tell someone that. But if your people take all of your time doing presentations, then that's where you should be, because you're going to get more exposures by going to 10 different people's presentation. And when I say go to them, I mean, I'm very literal, and I try to be in their homes. I try to do that. Obviously, times have changed and situations. That might be a Zoom. It might be a corporate office. It might be something. But we had a lot of success having people come over, sit down, their loved ones, their friends, their families. They know where the bathroom is. They know where the cookie jar is. They don't care. They're comfortable opening the refrigerator and getting milk out at your house and pouring a glass of milk. Those are the people I want to talk to, because they're already in my circle. They're close, right? So second question for second phase, okay? How many presentations did you do last month? Okay, you personally presented and did how many presentations? I can kind of guess what Kai and Greg did because I saw their schedule. But how many people on this call can say, hey, I did 15 presentations for my team last month? Okay. So what starts to happen is your mind starts to say, oh, okay, I'm doing lots of inviting. I've enrolled a few people, but I need to stay in that mode until I get my people. If you're doing 15 presentations right now every month, and I'll suggest that Kai is doing that plus some, okay? So her job is to get to the next phase. is not just to do those presentations on her own, but to move to the mentoring phase, phase 3, and get more people doing those presentations even when she's not around. So third phase, third question, okay, mentoring and training. This is how you know if you're doing that one. How many people on your team did 15 presentations last month? That's a little different question, right? Number one, how many have I enrolled? 2 or 3, 4 or 5. Awesome. How many presentations did you personally do last month? And I don't mean, I think 5, maybe 7. I talked to someone for a few minutes on the phone. I'm talking circle it on your calendar. How many did you do through 2, 3, 4, 5? I'm suggesting Kai probably had 15, 20, 25, right? Maybe. Now, third phase, how many people on your team are doing presentations? That's a little different. Kai might say, hey, I got about 4 or 5 people who are doing 15 presentations. And then everyone has something to do. The brand new person has more people to invite. The person who has people on their team has more presentations to go do and support their team. The person in trying to get to phase 3 has more training to do to make sure more and more people are trained to do the presentations when we're not around. I used to travel to the East Coast, which was 5 hours on a flight, not all the way to the Philippines, but it was far. We'd fly out to the East and I would do the presentation the first time, right? Learn, do, teach, right? 100, 50, 50, 100. You've heard some on-the-job training. You've heard these. We'd fly out there, do the presentation, and I'd fly home. The next time I flew out there, I did half the presentation. Why? Because someone else did part of the presentation with me, because I knew when I flew home, if they just waited for me to fly back, nothing was going to happen when I was gone. So I waited and trained them and supported them. So when I left, they called me and said, when's the next meeting? I said, hey, you know how to do that meeting now. You tell me when it is. It's at your place. It's at your house, right? This was a long time ago, but that's how we built, was with this idea that people can learn and do it on their own. Now, eventually that person, his name is Dan Mollering. He learned to do those presentations on his own. Now, when I came to town, guess what I did? I did training for all the distributors. That was my job, because he was doing presentations. Other people were inviting. It was my job to make sure they were trained. So I would teach how to do a database. I would teach how to invite. I would teach them how to do a presentation. I was training people for him and with him until he could become a trainer. People on his team were doing presentations and newer people were doing the invites. The process works perfectly. It helps build depth. It builds security. And most importantly, it builds leadership so that someday your business is strong and it doesn't rely on you being there for it to grow. Our entire point of doing this is so that your team knows what to do and they are well ready and prepared to take your seat. We call it passing the baton. Have you ever seen the relay races where they run and they hold the baton and the next person takes it and runs with it? The next person takes it and they run with it. That's how we feel like we build our business. We run and we invite, and then we pass the baton to the next person and they take that job and we have a new job, and we run and run and run and we pass it to another person. The way you get to the top of this company is to pass the baton to enough people so you don't have to be the one on the camera all the time. I actually have more joy watching people on my team do the trainings and do the presentations, because I know they're learning to do it when I'm not around. And when we had our accident and I was stuck in the hospital, our business didn't change. It didn't go down. It didn't have a big problem or dropout, because we had enough trained people who could go in and do their own presentations. They weren't relying on me to be there. And when we have that happening, I would open up my back office just this last month, right? 1,800, 2,000, 2,200, 2,400 enrollments every single month. That's not because I know 2,400 people. That's because I've trained enough people to do presentation. We've trained enough people to do the invite. And the process of gathering and introducing this to thousands of people every month take place because of the skills that were taught to our people over time. Okay, so my suggestion is tonight is to learn the phase you're in by answering those questions. How many presentations did I do last month? If you have a lot of leaders, then they should be keeping you busy doing presentations, and we hope to move the number from 1 or 2 to over 15. Every other night, be somewhere doing a presentation. Kai has some built-in presentations for you. That's a good time. Sometimes I can tell you how fun this was. Guess what happened when I flew out to New Hampshire a couple times? Dan Mollering was the presenter. But when I showed up in town, guess what he got to do? He got to be the one who invited someone to see me, because he was always presenting, and sometimes his people didn't want to hear him do the presentation. So when I came to town, he would put on his phase 1 hat, invite all his neighbors and friends to his house so I could present for him. So I was phase 2, he was phase 1 for that night. And it allowed him to enroll more people, even as a Pro 7 and a Pro 8. We never stop enrolling. We constantly want to build that width in our organizations. And it's a powerful way to look at that. So those are the 4 phases. Now, we will be teaching on those over and over. When we have a Pro 3 call, guess what we're going to be teaching? Phase 1, phase 2, over and over and over. Guess what happens if we have a Pro 5 call? What are we going to be teaching? Mentoring, mentoring, mentoring. How many people on your team are doing presentations? How do we pass that baton? How do we train others to present? Kind of like the fishing story, right? You give someone a fish, you feed them for 1 day, right? But if you teach them to fish, you feed them for a lifetime, right? And then my 3rd phase is if you can teach others to teach people how to fish. In other words, if I give you 10 fishing poles and teach you how to teach others to fish, then the joke is, and then you eat steak, right? So if you can teach that many people how to fish, then you can go buy whatever you want and eat whatever you want, right? But the idea is we're either fishing ourselves, teaching someone to fish, or mentoring groups of people to fish, and how that works. So we will be working on those over the next few, weeks and months. I'm hoping to get on at minimum every month and coach through this. And probably I'll be talking to your 4s and 5s for a while. I'll be on the Pro 3 call every now and then, but Kyle can do that. And maybe it's every 2 weeks if the need is there. And then I'm hoping if there's enough interest that we can get out physically for a week in the Philippines, visit some of your hometowns, be where we need to be, get to the corporate office, and just be another voice. So one that we're here, we think about you, we love you guys, we care about you, we're willing to help, we're willing to put our actions where our mouth is, like Kai has. She just moved out there and sitting in your backyard as an asset to you guys. That is amazing. That doesn't happen from a lot of leaders, you guys. That is something very special. I would be grateful for that. She doesn't have to do that, but she's doing that to support you guys. And I think that's powerful. So think about some of these things. We're up to about 52 people. So we've slowly added some people on this call, which I love. And I know Kai's going to go through some other things. What I do want to do is give you one more list of some behaviors to follow. I've been talking about them today, but I want to leave you with these, because these are the core habits and behaviors that we believe in when we talk about building depth. Okay. Number 1 is do 15 presentations a month. I think I've said that 100 times tonight, so you probably heard that one. That is how we develop enough exposures to do this business correctly. If we only do 15 presentations, that's awesome. If we can teach 10 others to do 15 presentations, that's 150. So I'm going to say 15 presentations is a minimum, but it is a starting point and it is a goal, and it's one of our behaviors that we teach everyone to do. Number 2, always do what you say you're going to do. When I talked about depth of character and integrity, I have seen amazing miracles happen for people who just pushed through and dedicated themselves. I've watched people do presentations with broken fingers and broken arms because they said they were going to be there. I watched people travel through the snow and walk and ride a bike if they had to, and catch a train to show up. I watched people say, hey, no one's going to be here, so don't worry about it. I've watched them drive 5 hours to get to someo's house. To do what? To be integrous, to show them that they have integrity to do what they said they were going to do. So I would always ask, as part of our team, to commit hard and follow through, okay, with everything we do. That could be our follow-ups, that could be our invites, that could be our presentations, that could be our support, that could be us committing to goals that we set, that could be us committing to be a ride or a resource or support to someone. And I'm going to challenge you to go the other way. You guys, I told my wife when we got married that I would take her on a date every week for the rest of my life, right? That's been a long-term commitment, and I haven't missed yet, okay? But it's been pretty hard sometimes when we're traveling or different things happen, but we have always made it work. And I ask people all the time, what are you willing to do for this business? And I often ask people, what are you not willing to do? What are you not willing to give up, right? I don't give up my Sundays. I've never done presentations on Sunday because it's a special day, and I just haven't done any business on Sunday, and we still hit Pro 10. So I know it's possible, right? We also committed to my wife for a date I haven't missed. So I told my people that. I said, hey, I'll do this business, but I'm not going to stop doing this. I'm not going to stop doing that. And because of that commitment, it actually allowed me, when I committed to LifeVantage, to be a very, very important commitment. And other things didn't creep in the way of my LifeVantage business either, because it was put on the same commitment level and pedestal as some of those other commitments. So always do what you say you're going to do is number 2. Number 3, attend every event, right? Now, we always say as if it was non-negotiable, okay? Pretend it's not negotiable. It's your business. It's important. I think it's really, really important to be at every event. We don't know when somebody's going to say something that affects us, when we're going to learn something, when our team will finally hear something the right way. Make a commitment to be at every event, and you watch your business and watch you change and watch your business change, right? Here's one more quote for you that I'll leave you with that quote at the end. But number 4 is always stay in control of your business, okay? Staying in control of your business does a couple things. You don't wait for others to build their business so you can have success. You go create the success. You go down in depth and do the training. You go down and do the presentation. Sometimes you go down and do the follow-ups. If you need the volume, sometimes you're the one doing the follow-up way down your organization to help and support so that you can stay in control. It's never someone else's fault. This isn't an employee-employer relationship, right? This is your business. Take ownership, and it's yours. Always stay in control of your business. The last one is to promote. Okay, learn to be someone who can promote and repeat these steps until it's done. Just keep repeating. Promoting is a key. Edifying, promoting. One of the best edify and promoters that I know is sitting on this call. Greg and Kai are doing an amazing job at promoting, getting you the information, not just announcing, but putting their actions where their mouth is and being there, right? And we have some fun things coming, right? You have the ability to get to the Pro 5 Summit. You guys realize that right now, if you worked hard, you can qualify for the next one in September. You have enough time to make it happen. And I'll let Kai talk about that. But I would be there no matter what. I would set a goal. I would do what I say I'm going to do. I will promote, make sure that takes place. And then I would make sure that you're there. So those are the 5 principles that I would not negotiate. Okay. I'm going to leave you with this quote. I know I'm a few minutes over. I pushed back another call a little bit. Kyle's going to take the last 30 minutes of this, but write this quote down. And I wish I had it pop up on a slide for you, but I think it's okay that write this down, that most people negotiate the price of success so long that they would have been there by now if they would have just paid it. So think about that. Most people negotiate the price of success so long that they would have been there if they would have just paid that price. Think about that. So many times, right? Well, I've already been to that training. Well, I'm going to try to buy a smaller package and see what happens. They start negotiating. Do I really need to be on the call? Do I really need to be at that event? should I really go to that presentation? I don't think anyone's going to be there. I'm going to stay home. They start negotiating and negotiating. Again, most people negotiate the price of success so long that they would have been there by now if they would have just paid it. Blue, how did you get to Pro 10 so fast? We didn't negotiate the price of success. We just paid the price. We got in our vehicles. We drove where we needed to go. We were at the presentations we needed to be to. We showed up across the country when we committed to it. We didn't negotiate. We showed up at everything we needed to, and success came faster than we thought. People that negotiate and try different things and change of the month, and they get on these little sidetracks. They wonder why 5 years later they're still trying to find success, because they've negotiated so long that if they would have paid the price, they would have already been there. But since they didn't pay the price, they're still trying to get there. So I'm going to leave you with that thought. Whatever that is, whatever you feel you're negotiating, sometimes it's time, sometimes it's bad habits. We have a problem with it might be something online that gets our attention that takes us away from business. It might be, I had a buddy of mine that loved video games, and the poor guy lost 4 jobs trying because he got stuck on a video game for 3 days and not show up to work and lose his job. And the guy had 3 kids. We're talking about a wife and 3 kids. And he allowed something like that to destroy him. And he kept wanting me to find him jobs. And I had a hard time giving my name behind it, because he would have a good job and then just not show up because he couldn't wake up because he stayed up too late. Hundreds of examples, right? Sometimes Facebook can be a good thing or a bad thing if we spend so much time scrolling around. And I don't know what it is, but find things in your life that are wasting your time and making you negotiate the wrong way. And let's make this a priority for the next 6 months to a year, and watch what happens to your families, your kids, your grandkids. You can be in a wonderful place in a short amount of time if we can make this a priority. The company is making it a priority. We have all of the ducks in a row. When I talk about lining things out at corporate, working with the field, developing the right programs, opening your country, and finally getting some of those bugs worked out. I hope you found some comfort, some security. Some things are out of our control. We've seen that the last 2 years in the entire country. We've had a lot of things out of our control, but we've done what we can to provide a secure, safe place to build and work and allow our hearts to be just poured out to our friends and families, and hopefully gathered in somewhere that's safe, that's long-term. We're here to prove it to you. You have people on the ground in your country here to prove it to you. And we're in a good place to hopefully take this to the next level altogether. I'm going to be around to help with that. I can't do it for you, but I can help train and mentor people, and we can do our small part in making that happen. So, Kai, I'll turn it back to you. I'll be on for a couple minutes if there's questions or something that we'd like to discuss. This is just the surface of a much bigger training, obviously, because each one of these phases can be an entire training. And within every phase, there's 5 or 6 topics that need to be trained on as well. So we got a lot of work to do, but I love the background. I love the foundation. I love the excitement that you guys have. And hopefully as we continue to do this and watch you guys learn phase 1, develop more presenters in phase 2, and pretty soon we have tons of people doing trainings in phase 3. I'm going to be excited, especially because you can't stay there forever, Kai, right? You're going to be coming home, and we hope that your training and mentorship leads to other leaders stepping up and continuing to run while you're gone. We can help over Zoom a little bit, but there's no replacement for somebody on the ground and leaders on the ground, shaking hands, giving hugs, proving that this company is what it is. And so we're excited. So I'll turn it back to you, and I'll be on here to help a little bit here. So thank you.
Hey, Blue, thank you very much. That was golden. That was golden. We love you, Blue. And even Greg and I, guys, have learned so much within an hour of our call. It never stopped. We never stop learning. And so, guys, will you give Blue on the little chat box below a number 10 for giving us a perfect 10 training for today? And we will talk about the date of when is Blue going to jump in once a month to be able to check in with us with all your results in order to continue to guide us, and hopefully that we can show him back what he have learned to us today, what he have taught with us today, and that we will bring back a lot of Pro 5s and even Pro 7s probably in the next 90 days. Yes, everybody, will sacrifice, not just you guys, but what we do is we're going to work together in order to help you achieve the results that you wish, and to basically put legs into those dreams. But make sure that we master, make sure that we put this 4 phases of business in action, guys. There's no delay, because the clock is ticking, and we are going to talk about the June grand opening, and we're also going to talk about the scheduled business opportunity meetings in provinces, in different provinces. Like Blue said, you've got to have at least 10 to 15 presentations, 15 presentations minimum a month, in order for us to really rank advance. And Blue is definitely willing to visit the Philippines, yes. And that will be open to everybody, but we can make him busy, you guys. We can make him busy. And, like Blue said, we're going to trim down as we go on with this. If we can have a Pro 5 exclusive mentorship, and then Pro 3 Blue, right? And hopefully
We
we're going
typically
to
build
create
our calls
an
around
elite.
3, 5, and 7. I think because that's where those breaks are in the phases. So I think there's very specific training we can give to all the 3s, which the 5s and 7s are welcome to attend, obviously. When we get to Pro 5, I think there's very specifics we can teach about presenting and trying to get to that next phase of mentoring. And then when we talk to our Pro 7s, it's a very different conversation doing mentorship. So those will kind of be our 3 breaks. And I don't know if I have specific calls every month or how that will work, depending on how many people do that. But for now, this is a great group. I just would like to get some of the top leaders down to about 10 people, where we can have a really good conversation about your business, your individual needs, your individual excitements, your individual concerns, so that we can help personally. So we'll work on that together. But that's the idea, was to start this off tonight, create this equal playing field, let everyone start running, and then we'll just see where the excitement goes. So thank you for setting this up for us. We appreciate it.
Equal playing fields, you guys. But ultimately, we're going to have a Pro 5s and above meetings, and a Pro 3 and above meetings. Thank you, Blue. We appreciate you and your leadership. Outstanding leadership. We love you, and let's go, guys, and let's make it a great day today. And hopefully that Blue's training right now kind of like opened up some of the eyes of our leaders here and future leaders. Any suggestions on what day do you want to have a regular once a month Zoom meeting with our Executive Master Pro 10? Any suggestion? You can text on the chat below. I was thinking of first Saturday of the month, or first or last Saturday of the month, so that we can continue the mentorship that we needed. And hopefully, guys, I just wanted to let you know that the gala night is only open on June 11. The gala night at the Conrad Hotel is only open, and you will be invited if you are a Pro 3 and above. So I really am excited. Let us know how we can help you to achieve that Pro 3 rank. Of course, that's the 5 platinum packs or 10 gold packs. It doesn't matter. We can work things out with you guys, as long as you really want this bad. We will focus on the people who's trying to take the steps. So we take 1 step. You take 1 step, we take 2 steps. You take 3 steps, we take 5 steps. You don't step, we don't step. But you make a phone call, we'll back you up, okay? So reach out to your leaders and uplines or sponsors. And if not, if you really want to be a leader, then reach out to me and Greg. We can always spend time for those people who are hungry for success. And you all know that we appreciate you guys and we value you, so we set aside time for you. However, if things are dragging on your end, we know that there's a lot of people that we are trying to focus on. So please understand that the people who are just committed will be getting the top priority, because we cannot divide ourselves. And of course, June 2nd, June 11th, also, we are going to have our grand opening at the SMX Convention Center. And like I said, during that night, 7 o'clock p.m., all the Pro 3s and above will be invited for the gala night. So we want a lot of our team to be there, and as well as Pro 5 Summit. Guys, I've already got 5 top Pro 5 candidates that we wish to bring to our Pro 5 Summit in September. So you've got end of March, guys, to hit Pro 5, end of April to maintain it, March, April, May, and up to May, 3 months in order for you to maintain that rank. And definitely, like Blue said, the Pro 5s are going to be sent to Salt Lake City, Utah, all expense paid trip for leadership training, you guys. It's going to be a real blast out there. We've done that before, and we're just so excited for you guys to experience that wonderful Pro 5 Summit. But let's get to Pro 3 first. First things first, foundational rank is important. Help us to help you what you need. But guys, like we said, put that in mind. 4 phases. I don't have to tell you what to do. 4 phases. In order to rank advanced, you've got to have exposures, and you've got to follow this training that we had today. So I will just get back to you any Saturday, Candy, first Saturday. Anybody else? Any idea if you want this to kick off? Would you like this to be on a Saturday?
So Kai, it sounds like a few people said anytime in the first week, Saturdays are good. The only problem with Saturday for your Saturday,
that would be Friday for you.
Yeah, my Friday nights are a little bit tougher, but if there is sometime that first week, because my Monday nights are a little bit more open, or maybe Wednesday nights. So if it does work, I know for you guys it might be tough because you have to do it like at 9 or 10 middle of the week if you're all working. So talk it over, but for me it works better.
Talk it over, yeah. Monday and Tuesday your time. Is it your morning or evening, Blue? It doesn't matter, right? Whatever works for them.
Yeah, I'll have to look at the times. I know my evening is your morning, right?
Yeah. Sometimes they like it to be in the evening, and that would be your morning. Like for example,
that would be my morning, and maybe if I adjusted to morning, that would be easier, and then all of you guys can do it when times are off. So Kai and I will chat.
Normally they're busy in the morning, so evening they can, and we'll make it in the evening, and that will be in your morning. That would be great. Yeah, it's either your Monday or Tuesday. Okay, awesome. Folks, you heard that. So we've got a great schedule.
Madel, I see your question about my journey. I would love to share that, and I'll share some of that on my other calls just because of time wise. But yeah, it is I will simply say tonight, it was a journey of learning those phases, learning first one step at a time, how to present, how to invite, then how to present, and then how to be a leader. And I got stuck at Pro 9 for a long time because I had to learn how to mentor. And each phase of that journey took training, it took education, it took humility. And then we finally came through the end of that journey owning those skills. So if somebody asked me right now to go enroll, I guarantee I can enroll somebody tonight if I needed to, right? If somebody asked me right now to go do a presentation, it doesn't matter how many, we're ready. If somebody said, can you get on stage and cover for 1 hour or 2 hours or 4 hours on training? The answer is yes, because the journey allowed us to develop skills along the way. So I will share more of our personal story, but thank you for asking. I would love to hear some of your guys' journeys along the way too. And that's what I'm hoping to get a little smaller group so we can do that with some of you Pro 4s and 5s. But thank you for your interest and your guys' time and humility. You guys have been awesome at being willing to jump on today, even in the middle of the day. I know you guys work and different things, but I hope your great grandkids are thanking you years from now for your effort. So only other thing I want to share that I just kind of spaced, and I want to talk about real quick, 2 different concepts. When one person hits Pro 5 or Pro 3, I think we can hit it with enrollments, and that's important because a certain amount of enrollments gets us there. But what you want to measure your business by is by subscriptions. And I know it's maybe a little bit different
Oh,
there and mentally, but I can tell you my business,
I
I don't
like
measure
that.
with how many enrolled. I measure with the solid subscriptions. When I don't go out and enroll people in a month, my volume settles at where the subscriptions are. And this has been a very integrous company. I know all the leaders at the top, and it's fun to watch the corporate staff protect and take care of us. But I can tell you that your business will be secure if it's not based on enrollments or things that fluctuate. If it's based on someone who loves the product, they want it every month, and it's already set up on a subscription, that's the volume that you can count towards paying bills and making changes and retiring and firing your boss mentality, all the stuff we talk about with security in the industry. Some of those things they all have to do with product sales, not just some idea or get rich quick something. They all have to do with sales. So the more subscriptions we have with sales allows for some of those things to be a reality. And so those are the things we're looking at. So think about that as you go prepare your business, as you structure things, as you tell people. And I like to tell all my people to make sure it's done on the 10th of the month, to do their subscriptions earlier, because if their subscriptions are done early, if something's wrong with their card or something didn't go through, they have the whole month to catch that instead of having it on the 25th. And then we have something fall through the cracks the last moment and we can't fix it that month. So our secure business, you guys, I'll just give you a hint. There was times in our business where even today, where we hit Pro 10 on the 15th of the month because of the subscriptions from years and years and years ago, because we've developed those. So when you hit Pro 10 on the 15th, it is an amazing to watch the rest of the month, just add and add and add security to that. But to hit rank early in the month because you have people doing the right behaviors and trusting and subscribing and getting their products every month, it allows for some pretty neat changes in your life. So I wanted to touch on that because hitting rank's one thing, securing the rank is what I want to teach you to do. So these trainings will help you to develop that kind of behavior. So can you imagine waking up on the 5th and being a Pro 5, or waking up on the 10th and being a Pro 7, right? That's what we're helping you to accomplish. So anyways, I'm going to jump off. Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys, and maybe let Kai know some of the times that would work well for us to come out, some of the locations we need to be in. Maybe we can travel around a little bit and help in some of your different areas. And instead of just doing it at the corporate office, we might be able to get around and spend a week helping and supporting. And maybe my wife will come with me, and you guys can
Yes.
show us your beautiful country. I'm seeing some of the pictures here, and I want to go sooner than later now. So thank you very much. I'm
Yes.
going to jump off. Love you guys.
Definitely. Thank you, Blue. I'm going to have a serious talk with our leaders so that we can schedule your visit in the Philippines. They cannot wait. And
Awesome.
definitely, guys, this is your chance to achieve the ranks that you desire before June. All right. And also maybe before global convention. Okay. Thank you so much. And we value your time. We love you guys. And until the next.